Welcome back to another episode of the Resellers Mindset Podcast. My name is Mike, also known as the Used Book Guy on YouTube, along with my friend and fellow full-time reseller, Johnny B. We help people start and grow their reselling businesses from the ground up. We also have a weekly Zoom call and private Discord for all YouTube members. Head on over to youtube.com/usedbookguy to join the channel and gain access to the full-length podcast, Zoom call, and private Discord today. Let's get into this week's episode. What is up, everybody? Welcome in another episode of Resellers Mindset Podcast. Myself, Johnny, special guest Seth, Checkmate Flips. You find them out on all YouTube, social media platforms. We figured you were tired of hearing us two ramble on, so we brought on Seth here to kind of, give you a little bit of an inside look at a debt-free online arbitrage business. So he's going to introduce himself, kind of tell you how he started, where he's at, and then me and Johnny will just kind of ask him questions about his business and pick on him a little bit. So what's going on, Seth?
What's up, guys? Good to be on the podcast. Thanks for having me. So I think I started with selling on Depop and eBay. So like Depop's basically an app for like teens who like want to be fashionable. Basically, I don't know why my brother started with that, but he did. Sold used clothing and shoes for a long time. Transitioned to Amazon FBA used books. So much easier to find inventory that actually sells for a good amount that way. And then restock limits happened a couple years ago, transitioned to online arbitrage, and then eBay to Amazon as well. So that's kind of how I got into it. It was kind of like a video game in real life instead of, playing video games and making no money. Like, let's actually get really good at something in real life and, game that.
You said your brother got you into it. Does your brother still resell today?
A little bit.
Okay, yeah. So he basically just said, "Hey, I'm going to give you the path here," and he's like, "I'll still make a little bit." But does he ever think about like getting back into it like full time like you do, or like does he not? Is he not that interested in it?
He started an Amazon account, and unfortunately, it was in the time where I was selling used items straight to Prep Center, and so he was doing that, but at smaller margin, and just was not working out for him. And he was like, yeah, I don't think this is for me. So he kind of quit doing that. And now he like builds out vans. He's like good at carpentry and stuff like that. It's like,
that's I mean, that market's super hot right now. The like camper vans that you live in and everything you're talking about.
Yeah. And so like he lived in a van for 2 years. And so like he's perfect for that. And he enjoys it.
I do think like, hold up, Johnny. I got one for him. Like, how many people do we come across that started on Depop? Like, I think you're the only one.
Yeah, okay. I was gonna say like nobody, right?
Dude, there's nobody. You might have been the first seller on Depop ever, besides your brother.
Depop is a weird place. Like, it's just even less. Like you think of like Poshmark or like Macari, like they don't have enough customers. Depop is even less. It's just like you have to literally sit there on the phone and like refresh your listings so that people see them. Kind of like Poshmark. It's just, if you can make some money on Depop, I guess you can make it on eBay and Amazon.
So when you decided to transition from books to other things, was it a hard stop, or you weren't clearing enough margin, or was it the eBay fees? You just weren't liking what that was doing to the book market? Or tell us about that transition phase.
Yeah, I feel like for me, we were talking behind the scenes, Johnny, and you were kind of like transitioning slightly to Amazon, like very slightly kind of, but like eBay seems to be like your still main thing. Right. Like I think it's the same thing. Like eBay works, like eBay works for you, eBay worked for me, but like I was just like, I'm going to dip my toe in the water with Amazon FBA books. So like I was doing my used clothing and shoes and stuff. And like I had a potential profit goal of like, I need to find and list like, let's say $800 a week in potential profit. I don't know what the number was, but I was like, I'll see if I can do 200 of that this week with Amazon FBA books when I go to a garage sale or something.
Yeah.
And so like I'd do that and be like, okay, like this was like easy to find money. Like, and I didn't have to spend so much time listing because I wasn't good at listing. I'm just not the best at listing. And books is great for that because it's like you just put it in a box and send it to FBA. It's like a minute or two per book,
right,
depending on how you do it. But Yeah,
No,
super transition slowly. Yeah.
no, it's very interesting because a lot of people that start with Amazon for the most part, they just start in books, probably because it's the easiest one to tap into because the abundancy. There's books everywhere. The only other thing that's an abundance like that I found is clothes, honestly, and all the clothing people are on eBay. So
Yeah, and then with Amazon, it's like invoice wise, if you just like sell new clothes as new without an invoice on Amazon, that just feels like sketchier and like hard to do, and you feel like you're going to get a counterfeit claim or something. And they're
right.
probably slightly right. But like with books, like used books, you don't have too much of a problem with that most of the time, unless you're selling textbooks. In my experience, anyways. I don't know about you guys, but
No, it's about the same. And last question before I give Mike the mic. Do you miss books?
I sometimes like will go to the thrift store. Oh, I love going to an estate sale. I went a couple months ago. I went to this hoarder house estate sale, like complete basement, like can't walk without walking on stuff, like books everywhere, stuff everywhere. Stuff was definitely dirty. I mean, that's how a hoarder house goes. Like I love like getting in there and like finding some stuff. I do that every once in a while. So I do miss it sometimes. It's just so fun, like buying like a book for like $1, or like in that case, like they were wanting to flip the house, so they're like, we don't care, just like give us like, yeah, $20 for those 100 books. Awesome, great.
I,
Um,
I think it's like a natural transition, right? So we go from eBay to Amazon Books, and you're like, wow, this is so much easier than eBay. And then you get to the point where you're like, okay, well, I can order stuff online, have it sent to me. I don't got to drive to the thrift stores, hope that I find stuff. So that makes it almost even easier. So it's like a natural, transition from your life trying to make your life easier to easier to easier. So now you're solely online. Do you do like any RA now, or are you mainly just online arbitrage?
I mean, besides the thrifting every once in a while, no RA. I'm so I guess like when you talk about like making your life easier and easier and easier, like I'm not optimized for RA. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know where to start. Like I just completely don't know what I'm doing. But with OA, I know exactly what to do, and like thrifting is a bunch of fun. I know what to do with thrifting. I do need to stop selling Blu-ray players without remotes though, because I get so many returns on those. I need to stop that, honestly.
I've sold a few VCRs, and I won't, if they ain't got a remote, I'm not even sending it in, because I know how picky the Amazon sellers are with that stuff. But I do think, like, because you've actually made me money from your thrifting videos. I enjoy your thrifting videos because you do like a lot of electronics, and you put me onto those stupid calculators I always see in the stores. And I've actually sold a few of those since watching the video where you were flipping
That's
them, like those Casio calculators you see in every thrift store,
Are
right? Where
you
you
ungated in Casio?
dude, I'm ungated in everything. All right. I've been around forever. They let me sell any brands basically.
Yeah, so just a thing for a lot of people I've talked to, people don't even have the click to ungate on Casio. So like that's like a harder ungate to get. So opportunity there. Um, but like back to like what Johnny was saying, like I don't think it's necessarily like here's level 1, here's level 2. Like you can do level, quote unquote, level 2 like better than someone at level 3. Like if you guys are making money with like selling books on eBay, like you're probably better off than these people who are doing OA and all their stuff tanks and they're 70K in debt. And they're making like a grand or two a month because they're doing it poorly or they don't know what they're doing. So it's like, yeah, maybe that's level 4 or whatever, quote unquote. But like if you're not doing it right, like
It
what's
doesn't
the point?
matter. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
like, that is a good point to bring up. You kind of like, you just summed up basically the shiny object syndrome. It's like, I think about this too. Like, do you always have to be trying to do something different, or like growing? I'm a firm believer that once you find an equilibrium where you're making the money you need to make and you start getting your time back, I don't need to have a warehouse. I don't want to have a warehouse. I don't want to have a forklift and a truckload of books. But I do think like what you just said, a lot of people are just like, oh, I got to spend more, right? Because the big thing with OA is like, well, you can only the only way you make more is you got to spend more, and it's just like it becomes a habit to where you can get yourself easily in trouble. And have you ever been like in a situation like when you started OA? Like where you felt like, oh man, like this is risky. Like I'm maxed out, and if something goes sideways, like with this one product, like I'm screwed.
Uh, yeah, I mean, the whole of 2022, I was leveraged to a point where if I were to get suspended, I would probably have to go bankrupt. Like probably the whole of 2022. Um, yeah, so I mean, and then there were a couple of times I had counterfeit claims on items where I was like 3K deep, and I just lost. Like Amazon didn't send me those items. Yeah, so yep, that happens.
Yeah, I think for me personally, I mean, things always may change, right? For me personally, it's more of how can I monetize the books more? Is it adding an additional platform? Opening a brick and mortar, had no plans to do so, but I found a way I could monetize that as well as liquidate that I find more profitable than your buyback programs, honestly, because it's out there. And occasionally where you scan it like once a quarter or something to send back into Amazon or see what the eBay market's doing for some of our older items out there. And maybe next year I try Walmart or something or Shopify or whatever, just expanding within the book thing. That's not to say I won't do CDs and DVDs, though the thought of cleaning them bad memories. But I may tap back into that just to have more Amazon inventory, or maybe I can offset some books with that. But I think books for me, for this point in time, I'm just going to see how much more I can grow the bubble I'm already in. But that's me. I'm an odd duck, apparently.
What do you
Yeah, it's
think?
yeah. Go ahead.
What do you think? Like a lot of people that do OA, they're like a lot of it's like newer items. I know you like flipping a lot of used items. Like what's like your focus? Are you doing like Amazon to Amazon, eBay to Amazon? Like give me a little bit of insight of what you're doing today.
Yeah, so regular online arbitrage is buying from like retail sites and selling it back on Amazon. Hopefully, the prices are different in the right way. Uh, me, most of what I do is I particularly buy new items from eBay and I sell them on Amazon. Most of last year, I was selling used, mostly completely used because I was scared of IP issues. Now I'm selling mostly new. Um, that's helped my return rate. Honestly, claims have been decent if you know what to avoid. So yeah, I'm mostly buying from eBay, selling on Amazon.
Do you think like eBay to Amazon is like a fad that's going to pass? Do you feel like right now is like you have the most competition you're ever going to have currently? Do you think like eBay to Amazon's going to be on a downswing here because it did kind of come along and take everybody, like as the next big thing to do, like eBay to Amazon, everybody's got to do it, everybody's got to get it, everybody's got to start it. I do think like there is some validity to like staying focused on what you do, and even after it downswings, right? Like, oh, why you still sell books? Well, it's because you focus on what you're doing and you stick with it regardless of all the noise around you. Like, what do you see the future of eBay to Amazon being? Less competition, more competition?
Yeah, I mean, to that point, it's like if you have a business model that works and like you feel like you have room to grow with it, like there's no need to change business models. Like just get better at the business model. Like with books, for example, like it does make sense to add on like CDs and DVDs, in my opinion, because it's like I tend to find that type of stuff like in the same area. But as far as eBay to Amazon, I kind of feel like it still is like I don't think it's really going to be a fad. I think people are going to keep doing it for a long time, and it probably will get more competitive as people get better at it. Yeah, I think it'll get more competitive, but I don't think it's ever going to be like so saturated because like the barriers to entry of it are pretty high because it's like people are very scared about account health, which makes sense. They probably should be. Um, and then also it's not like regular online arbitrage where like the regular view of online arbitrage is like you buy like 10 pairs of these shoes for like $1,000 and you sell them on Amazon for whatever you sell them for. Like it's not as easy to just like go drop $1,000 on eBay. Like a lot of my purchases are like, I spend $50, like I'm gonna make $30 profit. And it's like one off, and then like I'll find like 8 units of this here, and I'll make like $300. But it's like it's harder to just go spend like $5,000 like today. Unless you're Josiah, then you can spend $5,000 today. So I think it's going to continue to be a good opportunity, but it's going to get more competitive. Most good opportunities do, I think.
So I have a question for how you see OA in general and OA for yourself. Do you see it getting to the point where it's not just eBay to Amazon flips or X to Amazon flips anymore? It's place A to place B kind of flipping. Like you can go from Amazon to eBay, monetize it that way. Or like you mentioned Depop earlier, what products can you shift from this platform to that platform? Basically platform manipulation. Well, not manipulation, just transitioning. You see that going in the future for OA at some point?
Like that's not going to be an opportunity.
No. That it will be like the more or less the status quo. You're just moving this product here. It's a low performing in this market, but it's a high performer in this market for marginability's sake.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think that's just going to continue to be the case, but the way that it happens, I think, is going to keep changing. Like I talked to a guy the other day. I was in a group call and I met a guy who literally he buys from the United States Amazon marketplace and he sells on the, yeah, you've heard about this. Yeah, he sells on the UK marketplace. That's something I've actually considered getting into, but it's like noise. Like let's just focus on what's working, honestly. But that seems like a great, I mean, there's you could do that like so many different ways. Like when you think of like nation marketplace inefficiencies and then platform marketplace inefficiencies. And when there's so much that's there, it's like, how do you not find something that wins?
Right, exactly. Because even I've thought about this on the eBay front because I have a lot of UK buyers that like my American books. And then I've talked to some booksellers in the UK. They have the exact same issue, just the other way around. So if you had 2 storefronts in 2 locations, well, you pretty much just capitalized the 2 biggest book markets.
Yeah.
On eBay, at least.
That's crazy. Yeah.
That's double the headaches, dudes. I'm out. All right, you two can have fun. One of you can live over in the UK.
No, what I do
can
is
live
take a
here,
flight
dude.
over to the UK, find a street fellow, say this is your new apartment, this is how it works. Sell my books, please.
I do
Here's
think
your
that like,
salary check.
it is crazy, right? Because I guarantee you right now, there's people buying from Depop to sell on Etsy and Etsy to
Yeah.
sell on eBay, right? Like this is going on, and these are the people that are crushing it, right? Like these are the people that just they're not on social media or nothing. They got this little business doing stuff that nobody's doing. I think it'll always be there. I think the challenge will be when the next thing comes along, right? Because there's always another business model.
Yeah.
The thing I've been hearing, dude, is at least in my Discord and a few other places is like go to Rite Aid. Rite Aid's going bankrupt. Go to Rite Aid and buy all their stuff. It's going to be clearance out and you can sell it on Amazon. And I'm just like, yeah, okay, you might get lucky, you might get something, but that's not sustainable. Like, are you building a business to be sustainable? Or are you just always trying to chase like the next little thing that's going to be coming up? And there will be other things that come along besides eBay to Amazon and Amazon to Amazon.
And here's the thing too, like that in and of itself is a business model, but are you optimized for chasing the bankrupt Bed Bath and Beyonds and Rite Aid and Toys R Us and seasonal products and like Halloween like costumes and then like Thanksgiving stuff and then Christmas stuff? Like, I mean, I guess those are 2 different business models, but like you could be optimized for like always finding the opportunities of like this business is going out of business. This is a crazy clearance deal. But like for you, like the used book guy or like Johnny, like selling books on eBay, or like me, like doing online arbitrage, eBay to Amazon, like going to Rite Aid and like scanning stuff is like not the best use of our time.
It's I got a funny story. Our dentist is right by the Dollar Tree, right? So Deb had to get her teeth cleaned. I drop her off. I'll go in a Dollar Tree. I'll scan some stuff, right? And I found some condoms to flip. And like ever since I made that like public like news that I was in a Dollar Tree and I found boxes of condoms to flip. Like everybody's always like, you been in a Dollar Tree lately? I'm like, no, this is like a once a year thing where I got nothing else to do, right? It's like, but that's like the mentality of it. It's like, whoa, man, you can, yeah, there's money to be made off that if that's your business model, right? If you got a Dollar Tree route, and we have people that have backroom access to Dollar Trees, but like that's their business model. They're not trying to be the used book guy and the Dollar Tree guy. They're not trying to do online arbitrage and thrifting. Like you got to focus on what's working. So like this year for you, your results and everything, you don't got to give exact numbers. I'm just curious, like, have your results been better this year than last year? And also like how much time do you spend in your business on like a weekly basis on average?
Yeah, so last year, the profits this year are much better than last year. It's been around like 10K a month average in profit a month. The beginning of the year was a lot worse. The last part of this, like last few months, have been better. So yeah, I'm super stoked. Like this year is going amazing. Um, I did decide to put a lot more time back into the business because I wanted to FBM. So before, when I was just doing FBA, I was like sending my stuff to Prep Center, and I wasn't having to list, which was awesome. But I was ready to like have some more control of my inventory because like FBA, like you'll get like removal orders and it'll be like, oh, I sent that in like 9 months ago. Like, yeah, it's just craziness. So, yeah, so I put like 40 hours a week in now. Yeah.
No, I want to touch on something you just said about the what we send into Amazon. I had some expensive books I sent in that I decided to recall back. This was when my first stint into Amazon. And I noticed what they sent me back wasn't the books I gave them. There was somebody else's same books. It's the same book, just wasn't
Oh,
what I sent in. So I think
interesting.
that's common practice. They just grab it off the shelf of whatever the item is, and which may or may not be yours, which I can't prove this, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works. And if that's the case, the guy's marketing it as good or very good when it's very much an acceptable book and it gets sent out on my behalf. Squint.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
oh.
I got a secret I'm gonna tell, and I never told this secret to anybody until right now.
Uh-oh.
What secret?
I sent in it's like a $320 canning book. I
Mm.
sent in one copy and I sold two.
No, that's the best.
Just
Inventory errors.
some poor soul.
You took $300 from somebody, Mike. You
Dude,
took $300 from
hey,
somebody.
I'm innocent, all right? I'm confessing now, so I can sleep easy tonight. It's
That's
finally out
funny.
there. I do think that like with OA, what like give us a little bit of insight on like return rates and expected like ROI percentage, right? Because a lot of people start with books and you're like, oh, I'm not buying a book unless it's 500% ROI, but that's not the real world, real situation of having a business. So like, give us a little bit of an insider scoop on what to expect when it comes to margin and just that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, to tell a story about that, like the first time I tried online arbitrage, I was like, okay, I sold a sweater on eBay for 60 bucks. I'm interested in these sweaters. I'm going to try to get a better deal on this sweater and sell it back on eBay. I did not negotiate deep enough. And I thought I was going to sell it for a higher price than I actually did. And I ended up losing like $32 on the sale. And it took like 9 months to sell. So that was my first experience doing OA. And so like starting OA for the first time is like pretty daunting and difficult, and you kind of don't know what you don't know. So like first of all, like starting it is kind of difficult, but like what I'm trying to do now, um, I think the standard for OA is like we try to look for like 30% ROI products. So like buy an item for $10, get 13 back, $3 profit, or go higher ASP and buy for 100 and sell for 130. I like that better. But yeah, for me, I'm looking for higher ROI because like if I can just be pickier and like make my money work better for me, I'd rather do that. I'll spend more time sourcing. So like I'm looking for like 100%
Are there any categories you won't touch?
ROI.
Condoms.
I haven't flipped condoms eBay to Amazon, and it will probably stay that way.
Oh,
honestly. I haven't done much automotive. I don't do much beauty because, like, honestly, like, beauty is oftentimes it's like $20 items. So, like, how am I going to flip this eBay to Amazon when, like, the seller has to pay shipping most of the time? Um, I do a lot of categories.
so for a new person thinking about OA, let's say they're selling on eBay and Amazon and they're looking to try OA, what would you say would be the gateway capital to get your foot in the door into OA?
Gateway, like, amount of capital.
Right. Should they have like $500 saved up to reinvest to start OA experience, or more or less?
Yeah, I mean, probably the easiest way, like, especially if you've been selling stuff already. Like, if you just look at your catalog of, like, especially if you do books or like media or DVDs, like, take a look at like all the stuff that's sold for the most. So, like, that painting book, like, there's probably some dude selling it on eBay for like 120 at some point.
Yeah.
Um, you'll have to look through like 10, 20 products like that in order to find something profitable, probably. But, like, I think that's the easiest way to get started, because, like, I think the confidence of, like, is this item actually going to sell for 320 is kind of the hardest part of OA when you're putting like $100 down on something.
Right.
But, like, if you've sold it before, you're like, okay, well, this thing sold for 320. It took 3 months. But, like, it'll sell. So I can put $100 down on this, or I can put 150 down on this. Like, it's so much more, like, easy to get started with something that you've already sold, in my opinion.
No, I agree with that 100%. Absolutely.
I do think
Because
like you
go
got to
ahead.
have like all your ducks in a row. Like if you once you transition, if you start Amazon with like media, uh, you can afford to make mistakes, right? You get burned for $5, $10, like you really don't care. Uh, I do think when it comes to like getting into OA, you have to. I mean, you everything has to work in unison, right? Your ROI that you're buying at, and then having like your repricer set up correctly, so you have it set up so you don't lose money, or if you do, it's not much, because you're not going to win on every single product. But I do think it is like important, if you get into something like OA, is kind of understand and like lean on people like Seth. Like the content is out there, and all you got to do is, like I say all the time, and people still don't, like, just message somebody that does it. Like message Seth. He'll give you a straight up answer of exactly what he did and what you should do. Right. So like that kind of gets me into like, why did you get into YouTube? Like what was the thought process behind like starting YouTube?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, all of our DMs are open. I'm sure I can't speak for everyone, but, like, message me on Instagram. Like, I literally have like a daily routine of, like, I'm gonna message everybody back every single day. So, um, unless you get into my, like, spam filter, and then it'll be once a week. I don't know if you have that, Mike, but
Dude, I
I'll be.
don't even know how Instagram works still. I'm still like, I'm only 3 months into this thing. I'm still trying to figure it out. Deb's like,
What
you
is
just like
this
something.
place?
I'm like, I don't know what's going on. I got hidden requests. And then I got to approve a message, and it's like, do you want the message to go here or there? I don't
Yeah,
know, dude.
it's a weird place.
So like, yeah, YouTube. It's like you didn't need to start YouTube. Nobody has to start YouTube. So like, what was your process behind like documenting everything and trying to help other people?
Yeah, it was like a year and a half, 2 years ago or so. I was finding that, like, I was able to do my reselling at the time in 25 hours a week. I was encountering a lot of content talking about, like, the benefits of making a social media page with reselling, like a lot of miles of stuff, and, like, talking about, like, how important it is and how helpful it is, and, like, if you just post for a certain amount of time, like, you'll get some traction. So I'm like, I'm gonna reinvest 15 hours a week into this, at least at the start, and see how this goes. And, like, um, I think the thought was like, oh, I'm gonna make money off this, or like a lot of money off this at some point. Um, but I think the biggest, at least, benefit to me has been like the networking. And, like, I learned so much from, like, just random people who ask me a question, and, like, a different point of view that I'm like, oh, I never thought of that. Hmm. Like, there's been so many of those moments.
OA people like they're all kind of like, oh yeah, like I got like an inside group, right, that I share like leads with. Like, is this a real thing? Like, do you have like, yeah, I don't need details. I just need to know if it's a true thing. Like, do you have maybe two close friends or however many friends that if you say you come across this great deal on a website for this product, that you're willing to be like, hey, yo, Johnny, I got this great deal. Here's the website. Here's what it is. Like, do you have a small tight knit of like maybe people that you just give each other leads that are actually quality stuff?
Yeah, so I think this is the perspective on that. I think with regular OA that works, it actually works super well. And I think people like are 100% doing that. Because like, especially if you're selling something with like a ton of velocity, it's like nobody cares if one other seller's on there. It really doesn't matter. With eBay to Amazon, like I do some of that, but it usually ends up being the, like, let's say an eBay seller has like 12 units of this, but like for what I think I could sell in a month, it's only going to be 6. So I'm like, Josiah, like there's 6 units of this, like go buy it if you want it. So
Can,
like we do that. Yeah.
can you like I'm just thinking about this, right? Because like you're saying, we all sell things for crazy ROI at some point in our reselling career. Like, is there an easy way? Like, can you automate like what do you use? You use Flipmine?
I use flip mine some. Yeah.
Okay, so like, could you automate it to a way where maybe whenever you decide to get in and look for eBay to Amazon deals, like it'll just automatically filter all your UPCs that you're looking for? Or is this something where you gotta, drag and drop every UPC or item title to search?
Yeah. So, I mean, you're in Steve's group. That's what he's working on right now, the replend catcher thing. So he's in the process of making that. I think he has a beta out right now, but yeah,
So
he's working on that right now.
so I mean that makes it a little bit more easier for me for more people to kind of get into it too. So I guess it's a blessing and a curse how you kind of look at it. Like in comparison to like a work inside like thrifting model, online arbitrage, retail arbitrage, like the amount of work you put in, do you feel like it was the right step getting out of thrifting and doing this business? Like, do you rather, I know you said you enjoy thrifting, but like you get more enjoyment about like being at home and kind of creating your own schedule, right? You don't care what time the thrift store opens or closes. You don't care when a half off day is. You're just getting on and knocking it out when you can. Like, you prefer that lifestyle versus kind of the thrifting lifestyle?
Um, well, like I think I like the thrifting model quite a bit. Just the thing is I hate, like I really don't like listing, and so like it was super manual listing wise, and like I wasn't optimized. Like Johnny, you're in Daily Refinements group. Like I suck at all that like efficiency stuff. Like I'm trying to like optimize my FBM listing right now as well, because like I do a lot of like new in box items, and you have to like make sure that it's actually new, and like customers are actually going to be happy. And I end up like I took like 20 minutes to list 2 new VCRs because I had to like make sure that they were all like new, and et cetera, et cetera. Make sure it's the right person, actually get them listed. Because like I'm not just gonna like receive them, send them out, and like the customer is gonna be like, why is there a thank you note in my package? It's like those eBay sellers, Johnny. Like, why do they do it? I know they want
It's
clickbait,
funny
but
you mentioned that because when she has to do a merchant fulfilled order, I'm like, they get nothing. And she feels so bad for them. They don't get a thank you note. They don't get the special eBay tape or anything. They just get a blank package.
yeah, yeah, and people like that. It's weird, but they do.
Yeah, I don't get it
Uh,
either. So here's a fun question for you. Is OA a completely solo game, or do you see a point where you could have an employee staff or a fairly large employee team staff kind of deal, or is that a choice?
it's 100% a choice for sure. For me, the way I run my operation is it's a super lean operation. I have one VA. She does a lot of sourcing. We're at the point where she's buying a good amount of stuff, not everything, but yeah, she does that. Another way you could go is to use a prep center for your prep. Um, that's not employees, but it's like another system that you can use to help you.
Right.
Or you could like take it in house and do all the prep yourself or hire it. But I didn't want to do that. So
Sure, sure.
yeah, I mean, you could also have US buyers if you wanted to. There's so many different ways you can take it, but I'm like Mike, I don't want a warehouse. I don't want employees. I don't want unnecessary overhead. Want to keep things as lean as possible, honestly.
Oh yeah, with employees, they could eat up your entire bankroll if you hire too many of them. Overhire and don't use them efficiently, your money's just all gone in them.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I need to talk about your decision to just using basically cash on hand to buy all your stuff. Like, did you like get to a point in your, you kind of talked about where you were at risk, if something went south, you basically would have had to file bankruptcy to get rid of all the debt because, maybe you got 100K in inventory sitting in Amazon and they take it all and destroy it. Like, was that kind of like the point where you decided, okay, I'm going to make this more cash flowable? And like, was there like a difference from the point when was it something you gradually did over time, or were did you just wake up one day and said, all right, whatever I make is going to be put back in the business and that's it. I'm not going to continue to leverage, debt.
Yeah. So like last year, what happened is I was leveraging and scaling pretty hard at the beginning of the year. Come around early summer, I was making some like pretty decent profits, and but like the whole time I was leveraged and it was scary and uncomfortable. I mean, to a degree that's good, but like you also got to know yourself and be like, is this healthy or not? So pros and cons, and like, can you stretch yourself into this, or is this too far of a stretch? And then at that point, I got a couple counterfeit claims, and my account went into the dreaded yellow, where you're at risk of deactivation. And I was in that yellow for like 5 months. So that was a very scary time because I kind of didn't know, like, is that just going to stay forever? Am I going to get suspended tomorrow? Like, how am I going to deal with this? So like, I was like, all right, foot on the gas. Like, we're going to like sell through. We're still going to try to send in like really quality stuff, but like not spend as much and try to cash flow out of the debt basically and reinvest profits back in. And then after, it was a gradual like 5, 6, 7 months of getting out of credit card. We were paying off our balances every month. So like, it wasn't like we were paying interest on stuff, but like we were leveraged pretty hard.
Do you see yourself doing this business model 10 years from now, 5 years from now, 3 years from now, hell, even next year? What's your outlook for where you're at today and like where you want to be maybe next year or in a few years?
Yeah, we were talking about this earlier a little bit, how like we're all just gonna go to Pennsylvania and buy a house out
Yep.
and just live the dream. Yeah, I mean, I'm totally on the same board of like, let's not just like live paycheck to paycheck with reselling. That's kind of a little bit volatile is probably the right word. Like we can continue to like adapt and grow, and I think we should, but like I think it's also smart to like work your way out of it, potentially if you want to. So like, yeah, I don't know what the next investment is, but like for now, S&P 500, that's putting some money into that so that eventually like I could retire off that.
Um, it's funny you bring that up. I had a poll yesterday on the YouTube. Are you currently investing into a retirement fund as a reseller? Uh, Johnny, any guess what percentage said yes?
0.
And that's so broad that could be $10 a month.
28% said yes.
What?
72% of people that answered that poll are not putting a single penny away into any kind of retirement fund or savings. It's crazy to think about. And like you said, even if it's $10 a month, I mean, you can even, get a SEP IRA. Being self-employed, it'll reduce your taxable income at the end of the year. So you're really, you can play the system the way they do it. But I do think it is important to like see the end of the journey. And I think that's kind of what happened to you. It wasn't only the debt, it was, well, what do I want this to look like in 5 years, 10 years? It's not about right now. It's about, okay, well, do I want to keep every month having to pay off the cards, or like barely, paying off everything, or some people are even behind on their payments. And that's what happens in the reselling world is you get to this, oh, I buy this one product and I need this to sell. If this don't sell, I'm screwed. And then that's how you get in the whole world of, trouble and hurt. And it's just like, it's a shame to see. And I do think there is so much justification to, cash flow in the business the way you do it. And it's really, I don't think it's talked about enough. And every time I bring it up, I try not to like, push my thoughts on people, right? Especially on YouTube, right? All of a sudden I've become the Dave Ramsey book guy, right? Like no debt, no debt, right? And like that
The new rebranding, the Dave Ramsey book.
that
Yeah.
rubs people the wrong way. But I do think there is being in debt myself and growing up basically dead broke. There is a lot of possibilities, and it does open your eyes to like a different way to look at reselling when you don't have to worry about making that credit card payment at the end of the month or needing that one item to sell so you can pay your bill. So I think it is pretty incredible what you're doing, cash flowing eBay to Amazon, and however else you want to flip things and just moving away from the credit card, especially being, how deep you were in it. That's like a deep, dark hole. And you're all of a sudden, you're like, give me 6 months. I won't be worrying about this no more.
I
Right.
appreciate that. Thanks, man. Yeah, go ahead, Johnny.
No, it's very interesting. I mean, people think of debt and risk management by doing debt that they can go a tad faster, but reselling year over year, you're going so fast already. Do you really need to dig yourself into that hole? And I agree, you can go a little faster if you could just charge it, sure. But I don't think a lot of people have the risk management down and they get themselves into a whole world of hurt, honestly. I think there's good ways to use debt and leverage debt and propel your business faster 100%. That's the whole point of it, right? But is it necessary? That's the fundamental question. I don't think people stop to think about before they just focus on that over there. I can go faster. I can go faster. Maybe you don't need to go faster.
It's a risky game, and like, yeah, it's a good point. It's like, do you need to like, and kind of like as your capital grows, like if you go the no debt route, like as your capital grows, like hopefully your skill is growing too. So like you're not like making these like super solid mistakes at scale. Like you're gonna make super solid mistakes at scale if you're like leveraged. Like me sending used items to a prep center, like at that was just ridiculous return rate. Like I wouldn't have done that as much if I wasn't scaled, I think, because I was just like, oh, on paper, this is 110% ROI, like it'll be fine. But yeah, it's a hard
We
one.
all make bad buys and we make bad decisions in our business. And I think with the debt way is some of those are catastrophic. They can be.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, one wrong thing. I mean, think about it. Like if you got a 10K credit card and you max it out, and it's only on a few items, and like Seth was saying, you get counterfeit claimed, you're SOL. Like you got to come up with that money to pay on those credit cards, or if you don't make it by the end of the month, then you got interest, and then you're definitely losing, and you're probably not going to get those products. So it is right. Like one kind of hiccup. I mean, that's not the end of the world. There's millions of people that can leverage debt, pay it off every single month, get the benefits of cash back, points, all that nonsense. But I just think if we just take your average reseller, I don't think the average reseller is capable of handling and monitoring maybe 5 credit cards. I'm curious if you don't mind telling us. I don't even know if this is too personal or not. Like, what's the most credit cards you had at a single time?
Yeah, and I mean, like, to go back to the statement, the devil's advocate to that is like, or even a business, like a business, like uses money, like a lot of money, and so like a regular business like leverages debt.
Yeah.
Like that's the devil's advocate to that, but like kind of like you said, like you need to make sure that your business model works before you use some leverage. But yeah, I mean, I literally I haven't closed my credit cards, but I have like a stack like this big of credit cards because I was doing the sign up bonuses for a while too,
Oh yeah.
and I was just like at a point a couple months ago, I'm like I don't care. I don't care enough to like open more credit cards. Like this is enough.
It is pretty crazy to think about. I'm curious, like, what's your plan for the YouTube channel? Is this something you're going to continue to do? You upload pretty often, so like, do you have more plans to do more YouTube as you scale your business and maybe get more time back? Like, what's the future of that look like for you?
Future of that right now is I well, okay, so I'm very far ahead on a series that I'm putting out right now. The series is the 100K at 100% ROI in 100 days.
Yeah.
Um, I've filmed all of it at this point, and we're like several weeks ahead. So we're releasing those. I filmed another video today. But like we're just gonna be posting stuff that's like helpful to people to help them get to the next level in their reselling business. I don't think I'm gonna like take it like be like, okay, I need to do 3 videos a week and like post like 6 reels a week and like really ramp that up. I think I'm gonna like continue posting like once a week, something that's helpful. Try to like keep helping people.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like what we were talking about with business, right? Everything doesn't have to be a turn and burn, right? You can slowly grow a YouTube channel up over time and years, and then, when the time comes and, you're not reselling as much as you used to, and you got your mansion paid off in the middle of nowhere, Pennsylvania, you can just, have a little homestead channel of you, living out on the farm somewhere and, doing what you do. Like that's the reality of it. And it is kind of like a good way to look at it. It's like everything doesn't have to be like, you don't got to spend 10K this month. You don't got to make 10K this month. And I think that's like a false reality. Like everything is built over time. Nothing is going to happen overnight. And whether that's eBay to Amazon, thrifting, everything takes time in this world of reselling that we live in.
Yeah, and it's like the way that I see it is like if I say yes to like putting another 2 videos out a week or like really trying to like dial in to get my social media better, I'm saying no to other parts of my reselling business, at least at this point. So it's like, what is gonna ROI like best for me, honestly?
All right, hold up. I got a bone to pick here because you commented on one of my posts and I responded because I seen it and it was my video saying how bulk buys are a waste of my time. And his response was, yeah, well, he basically said, yeah, you're an idiot. I could have told you that when I was doing bulk buys many, many
Uh,
years ago. Thanks for letting
gosh,
me
I didn't mean
know.
it that way.
You know how many hours of my life I wasted. You could have helped me. You could have saved my business
Dude, I
overnight.
didn't know you did bulk pickups. I mean, dude, I didn't know. I thought your take on it was cool. Like, oh, I'm just gonna like do the best ones, and I didn't even think of that when I was doing it myself.
Yeah, but like you said though, right? It's one of those things where you got to prioritize, right? We're not YouTubers, like we make a lot more in reselling than we do in YouTube world, right? So we can't just sit here and make videos all day long for YouTube because the bills ain't going to get paid at the end of the day. So it all coincides with each other. Like your life, kind of the way you take things in life, you put into your business, and that's how you get ahead and win, honestly.
I can't comment on this one because I still do bulk.
Well, listen, dude, I would do bulk if I just had a store right there that I could just throw them out on the
Yeah.
shelf, right? That's completely different. But it is weird to look at different aspects of your life and business and like what can you get back? Like going from like a thrift into like a work from home kind of thing. Like you win some, you lose some, right? I gotta deal with my 4 cats jumping around me all day if I'm sitting here editing YouTube videos for the day. But it's like, hey, it beats going out to the thrift store or something like that. So I think we're going to wrap it up here. So the last thing we always kind of do is like somebody that's interested in getting into what you do, like eBay to Amazon, like what's the best piece of advice you could give them?
Yeah, I kind of a common theme throughout probably this whole thing is like jumping into something like 110%. Like maybe you should like give a lot of effort, but like and actually learning the thing, but like you don't need to like stop doing the thing that's making you money and go full force into a completely different business model. Like it's probably a lot more sustainable to just be like, okay, like I'm gonna do 5% this, and then maybe the next month like 15% this, and like give yourself some patience and time over time to like actually get to the get to your level 2 and then level 3 and then level 4 and step 4, 5, 6, 7. So yeah, I mean just learn, take your time. Um, yeah, that's probably my piece of advice.
And if you need credit cards, he's got a whole stack that he's not even using, right? All you gotta do is hit him up on Instagram. Hey, I heard you got a stack of credit cards. What can you do for me? We appreciate you hanging
I
out.
should open. I maybe I'll dip my 5% of my business model into that. Be like lend some people some credit card limits.
Oh my dude, I mean, there you
Just
go. The reselling loan shark, right? You just got a little black book. You keep names in. You got guys with suits that go around and go knocking
forty
on
percent
doors.
APR.
Hey, It's the Seth card, right? We appreciate you hanging out today as always. And you can find him anywhere, social media, YouTube, Checkmate Flips, and we appreciate you coming on today, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Resellers Mindset Podcast. Today's full episode and all previous episodes are available to all YouTube members, along with the weekly Zoom call and private Discord. Head on over to youtube.com/theUsedBookGuy and consider joining for as little as $2.99 a month.